There he is.
Hey, what's going on, man?
How are you, pal?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Sorry about the confusion there.
All good, man.
It's good to see you. Thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah, no worries, man.
You're a pro, though. I mean, you had your own show for a while.
Oh man, I was trying to stay busy there, man.
You got right into it, though, didn't you? Like right when I was inspired. I was inspired, man. Like the pandemic hit, and you didn't back down. You like went right in. It was kind of an amazing time.
Yeah. I went right in with the tap in. Just I had this idea for the interview show and did that. Reached out to everyone I knew, and then I had another show called Karaoke with Quake as well. So I was trying to adapt quick, man.
Because that was right off. That was right in March, pretty much, right?
Yeah,
And it,
yeah,
it
it's
looked super pro too, man. You had like nice graphics and stuff.
yeah, man. Yeah, was trying, man. It's crazy when you look back. Like I get those Facebook memories that come up, and it's like telling me like this was like a year ago, and it's like holy crap, man. Like it doesn't seem like that was a year ago. Like this year flew by. I feel.
It's weird because part of me is like, yeah, the year flew by, but then part of me feels like, doesn't it feel like a lifetime ago though that like we were doing shows? Like it feels like I'm a different guy. Like it feels like my life is different.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I even mean like the pandemic. Like I feel like just it feels like I was studying for those interviews like not that long ago, and we're still in this pandemic. It's crazy that it's been so long,
Yeah,
but
that's the truth. That's the truth.
yeah,
I go between these two feelings of being like, the pandemic feels like in some ways it's crazy that we're still in this. It feels like it's gone by real quick, but then part of me is like, I can't even remember my former life.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? There's so much that has kind of taken. We moved too, right? Like I moved to Fredericton. I'm out of Halifax. I don't live in Halifax anymore.
Okay.
It's
So
a
how you
big
liking that?
change, big
Yeah.
change. But no, man, I was inspired. I loved those. I thought it was really good, man. You doing that, and was it a lot of work for you to do those
Uh,
interviews?
yeah. It would take. I would at least need like a day's notice, probably 2 days, because I did do a lot of research on each person. I wanted to be like Nardwar, man. I wanted to hit them with questions that be like, how the hell do you even know
Yeah.
this? And so like I was calling people's friends and like managers and like all kinds of different stuff and looking like deep in the internet trying to like find stuff that they've never said before and just
Yeah. You set
different
them
things.
off that way.
Yeah.
You set them off that way. No, I thought it was really good, man. I think it's. I actually went back and watched some of those shows, and I found because I was kind of doing my own kind of research for this, and I was thinking, first of all, it's really apparent that you love rap music. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you know it deeply. It's
Yeah.
not just like a a surface interest for you, especially like the
No.
art of rap,
Yeah,
like
it's
bars.
everything.
Like you love that.
Yeah, it's everything to me, man. It's an obsession. It always has been, man. So yeah.
When did that start though? How like what was the initial do you remember those first times you listened to great rap and you were like this is moving me in a different way than other music?
Yeah. Man, my when I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old, my babysitter who lives two doors down, she had two older boys. And I think they were like 7 years older than me and 9 years older than me or something. And when I started going there before school, because my parents had to work early, they just had an extensive collection of like rap music and they put me on, man. Like I remember hearing Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style. I think that was the first album I heard. It was like 1994. Like
You're
five
like
years.
7, you're like a
Yeah, I'm like
kid.
5 years old, man. And I just remember because like I don't know, there was always music in the household, like growing up from early ages, but it was like stuff my dad liked, Rod Stewart and Bruce Springsteen and stuff like that. He would play on his actual record player. But yeah, when I heard that, when I heard like Snoop Dogg and Tupac and all that stuff, it just like blew my mind. And obviously, I think like the initial thing was just wanting to be like them, wanting to be like my babysitter's sons. Like they were older, they were cool. I looked up to them. What they were wearing, I would ask my parents to buy me. I wanted a tracksuit at the time. I wanted, this pair of Adidas shoes and stuff like that. And I think it just all started with literally just trying to be like those guys, man.
It's amazing how that happens at a young age. Like
Yeah.
the older teenagers in your neighborhood end up becoming these like iconic kind of figures.
Yeah, they're legends. They're who you look up to. They're who you want to be like. And we had the original Halifax West. Now it's a newer version of the school. It's like up in by Bears Lake area. But when I was growing up, Halifax West was like just down by my house. So like as we were walking up the street to school, to elementary and stuff, like all the high school kids, we'd walk by them every day. So it was like you get to see what they're wearing. You're like, oh man, I gotta get me one of those. And you get to just like talk your little banter with them. And so you just learn early. Like I
So
did
were you a
anyway.
pretty fresh looking kid? Like when you were in elementary school, were you kind of, you know what was up or what?
Yeah, man. I definitely was like, I would say even more so than now. Like it took like,
You're giving up slowly.
yeah, no, just when I was a kid, that was all that mattered. I wanted to be the first to have. Yeah, I remember when Jay-Z had the Rockaware, I was like the first in the school with the pair of Rockaware pants. Like I always wanted to be fresh and fly. And then I think as you get older, you realize that that stuff doesn't matter as much as you think it does. But it's weird because I feel like I had a lot of things that I thought was cool and that type of stuff I experienced early. So by the time I got a little older, like late junior high, high school, it didn't matter as much. I was like, life is more than these things. But that's when most of the other kids actually started caring about that
Right.
stuff. So it's like I was already kind of like the head. So now I'm feeling like the outcast because like everyone's trying to get fresh and fly. And I'm like, I've been through that. Like I think there's more to life than this now. And
Really? Did you
yeah.
always have older friends?
Uh, I always did. I always had some older friends, a lot my same age, but I was always the kid, man, in performing in Halifax in the bars at like 15 years old, and
Yeah.
every other rapper would be like mid 20s, and I was in the groups that everyone was older than me. So I think, yeah, I've always just been around older people a lot, man. I don't know what I was able to relate to them or whatever, and maybe that's just like I said, from like my babysitter sons or whatever the case may be, but
You
not
just
sure.
went through a bunch of stuff early on. This is
Yeah.
all in. You grew up in Fairview, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Still there.
Yes,
Fairview is where
sir.
you're at, heart and
Yes,
soul.
sir.
Good
Yes,
man.
sir, man.
Good
Yeah.
man. And so, when did you start writing? When did you start like? Did you start with rap? Is that how it went? Like verses, writing verses right away?
Yeah. And back then with like I don't know if you call it punk rock, but like that we were into both. So like, and you don't really hear much of that anymore. Like I was really into like Green Day and like Smashing Pumpkins and like stuff like that. But yeah, I started with rap. I think we wrote my babysitter's youngest son. He taught me like a little bit how to write, and I think we were messing around with that for a bit. And then as I got a little older, this guy from the North End who I was playing hockey with, he taught me what a freestyle was. I didn't know that. I just thought you had to write it down and then like say it. But he taught me. He's like, no, you can just do it off the top of your head. Like it's called a freestyle. And I was like, okay. So I started trying to do that, and he changed my whole shit because he was like, you can get just the instrumental versions. Because before I was playing like the Snoop Dogg tape and like writing over it and trying to rap over him. And then this guy Mike, he showed me how to get just the instrumental versions off like LimeWire or whatever it was. And then that's when I really could when I really started doing it. So I got a karaoke machine. I had the instrumental versions and I could record my voice over the instrumentals. And then that's when it really kind of started.
And that's like what age?
Geez, man, that would be like 13,
Yeah,
14,
wow,
something like
that's
that.
young,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And what kind of stuff were you writing about at that age? Was it mostly like bravado type stuff?
Yeah, probably bravado, probably bravado. I go back and I listen. There's definitely some that are like trying to be like political, like I listened to it the other day. I'm talking about like the towers coming down and like war in Iraq. I didn't know what I was talking about, but I was probably trying to be like Nas or something like that back then. Definitely bravado. Definitely, I was really into like as at an early age, I was really into like real hip hop. Like, this is real. We're never gonna sell out. This is
Yeah.
not commercial rap. So stuff like that. Like.
How do you feel about that stuff now? Now that you look back on that,
Yeah,
like I mean, just more that attitude of just of kind of like that real hip hop. What does it? What
I
does it mean
think
to you now?
I think that a lot of real hip hop, like purists, and I might get in trouble for this, but like I think a lot of times now, um, they may be more boxed in than the people that they're making, or the people that they're down talking. Like, like they might say like, oh well, hip hop is, it has to be this, it has to be that, and I don't know what these new guys are doing, and but this is not real. And it's almost that it stems from a place of like not acceptance or like not love. It's just like it has to be this one thing. And
Right.
I think people with like a broader, um, like just a broader view on things that aren't scared of change, I think it allows you to enjoy music and create music much more freely. And that's what I try to do. Of course, I love hip hop. I love Illmatic and Doggy Style and those albums that came out 20 years ago. But I also learned to accept change and accept that things have to evolve. If human beings stayed saying we got to make fire with wood, and you're using you never have a lighter.
Yeah.
Things have to evolve, and I think that we have to accept that. And I think I just try to put myself in any artist's shoes, no matter what it is, and try to relate and understand where they're coming from. And I think being more understanding allows you to enjoy the music. You're not always mad all the time saying, well, this isn't real and it has to be this. And it's like, who are we to decide? Like, I think I just try to find the good in everything. And that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
try.
I feel you, man. I'm exactly. In fact, I find it when I'm on that kind of like when I'm in that zone of hating lots of stuff, it's generally because I'm not doing great. You know what I mean? Because
It
it's my own
always,
insecurities. It's always because like something's not going right in my career, and all of a sudden I'm like, this is garbage. That's garbage. That's not doing the right thing. And then I'm like, actually,
always,
maybe we should just turn the mirror around a little bit and just examine what I'm up to.
it's always a reflection of how you're feeling about yourself. If I'm scrolling through and I see somebody doing good, and and I'm not feeling great about myself, or I'm hungover, or whatever it always stems from how you're feeling inside. And that's what I've learned. And even if you get negative comments on your song or on your YouTube, like I used to get really like upset, but I've learned that it's actually coming from people that are hurting inside, and they're not, they're not happy with their life. So this is the way that they're taking it out. And so now it's almost like I try to just feel like, okay, I just want to empathize with this person instead of firing back,
Right.
because that's what it is 9 times out of 10. And it's the same thing with everything. The school bully, like they're picking on you because they're insecure and they want to make themselves feel better, or whatever it is. And I just find that if you're speaking down on someone else 9 times out of 10, it stems from you, like you said, the reflection in the mirror.
It's so hard to get past that. It's
Yeah.
so like I tell myself that all the time, and then you see a comment or something, and it's still just like,
Oh
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like I find myself reevaluating things that I do or have done based on random comments from people who don't know me at all, don't care, as you said, might be going through their own thing, and I'm like talking about reevaluating ways of living, how I'm doing things, and I'm like, wait, this person's got no stake in my life,
Yeah.
really, like, you
They
know,
don't.
they don't, and it often, as you said, they're going through their own thing, like how best to turn this around so it doesn't necessarily negatively affect me, but also, like as you said, so you can actually empathize.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like karate almost, you know what I'm saying, like where you take the energy of the other person and kind of like it's like a
Yeah.
martial art, you know what I'm saying?
I seen a thing that Dame Dash said. He's like a hip hop mogul. He was partners with Jay-Z and Rockefeller Records, and he does his own thing now. And but I saw him say one thing that really stuck with me. I actually put it on my new album, but he goes, never take advice from anyone who hasn't done it before, like whatever it is you're doing. Because at that point, they're just like a person who has no experience in whatever field you're in, and they're literally applying their blind vision to your life that you've studied and been a part of for years. And you're going to let somebody's blind vision, who has no knowledge about your life or the industry you're in or anything like that, who has never sold a record, who has never done any of it, you're going to let them affect your actual professional opinion. Is like, it's insane.
Right.
Like, and
And
yeah,
we
it's
do it all
like,
the time. I mean, the
Yeah.
interesting thing too is that like we also have like different, everybody's got different priorities. Everybody wants different things out of their careers. I think this is the other thing that happens as you get a little older, right? Like it's different, as you said with the clothes, like you realize life is more than just this and this. As you get a little
Yeah.
older, you're like I had this conversation with Katie Lang. I
Hmm.
tweeted Katie Lang and I was like, Katie Lang, I want you to be my mentor. And I was going through a really rough time. I was,
Yeah.
mentally, I was just depressed, basically super depressed, physically ill, on tour all the time. And this was only a couple of years ago, man. This was like, I
Hmm.
really didn't know. I just felt like the real weight of the world kind of vibe and of my career, and felt guilty for being away. I got young kids, all these things compounding. And I get
Hmm.
on the phone with her, and really quick she was like, so what's your life, what do you want from life? And I was like, well, I got 2 young kids, I got my wife, and I'm trying to build a family. I don't really want to move to a big city. I don't want to be on the road all the time. I want to do this and this. And she's like, I can't give you advice like in the same way that you want it. You want professional advice from me, but I had completely different priorities than you have. You've got like multi-focus, you know what I mean? Like you've got your family, you've got kids. I didn't have a family and kids when I was 17 and I moved to LA, and I was singular focus for years and years and years. And this is what I wanted. And it was like, it hurt at first. I was like, what you mean I'm not going to get that? And then I realized like, and then she was just like, at the end, she was like, the path will reveal itself. It was like the most insane conversation ever, because it was like Yoda, man. But like part of it was that I needed to move past the idea that I needed to have the same priorities as everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? Like Dame Dash is saying, like you get someone commenting on, well, maybe everybody's got kind of different needs of what they want from their career. That's the other thing, right?
Hmm.
Success looks so different, and
And
it
everybody,
evolves.
and I think what you're saying there too is everybody's journey is different. Like look at I don't know what's an example, but like okay, maybe when Drake first blew up, whatever, he was early 20s, I think 22 or something. But then you look at like 2 Chainz, when he blew up, he already had a career. His name was Titty Boy, a different name, wasn't working out. And then like 35 years old, he's now 2 Chainz, rebranded, and then had that run. Or like you think of like Jay-Z, like his debut album was like 26 or 27. Like that's his debut album.
Wow.
It's like that shows you it's like everybody literally has a different journey. So when you compare yourself to other people's journey, it's just not going to make any sense. And oftentimes you're going to end up hurting yourself. So it's best, I learned, to just not compare myself to anyone else and realize that, man, people have different stories. Like I forget when Colonel Sanders invented KFC, was like in his 60s or something like that. Like it's just like you always have, you know what I mean?
That's
Everyone has a
crazy,
different journey.
crazy
Yeah, man.
detail, man.
Yeah, yeah,
It's true though, right? Like I
yeah,
love the story of the late bloomer. Willie Nelson's one of my favorite singers, and it was really he was into his 40s when that all happened. I mean, but
yeah,
this is just gold for me, because I find that this is the stuff I'm thinking about all the time. And I followed you through the pandemic, and one of the things that was the coolest was the Sway in the Morning.
yeah,
When you and Sway connected,
yeah,
I actually got like, so just so people understand, Sway is basically the biggest hip hop host, DJ, morning show, right?
yeah,
Is it in the morning?
yeah, yeah,
It's NYC, it's New York.
yeah,
And so this is you know the biggest hip hop show in the world. One of them, him and there's a couple, but it is a massive thing. I follow artists when they get the chance to go on that show. I know what it means, and then I'm watching you connect with them through Instagram, and you tell and he invites you on the Five Fingers of Death, which is that's the freestyle, like you get to spit verses, right? They put a
yeah,
beat and you spit the
yeah.
verse.
5 different beats, and the beat changes 5 times, and you got to keep going.
Ooh.
Yeah,
And so this is like the test,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
This is
yeah,
kind of where people get judged on the skills.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that story, because there was so much there that I was so excited about seeing that connection. But let's maybe talk about that, how that all evolved, how that happened, how that connection was made.
Yeah, so he was doing a show called Bedroom Bars, I believe. It was a show that spawned out of the quarantine, as many of these live shows did, and it was on Instagram. And so it was pretty much, you get 60 seconds to rap, And the way I got in there was that Mercules, God bless him, he actually has a relationship with Sway. He's been on there. So Mercules got let in to do his 60 seconds. And at the end, he said, Sway, there's a really dope artist from Canada. My friend, his name is Quake. Like, if you see him on here, let him in. So that night I didn't get in. Then I was like, all right, the very next night I tuned in and I got in, and I was practicing my verse all day and I got to rap it. And then I guess he was just really impressed. He's like, man, you're a hyena, I think he said. And so I was telling him that, man, like, I actually have a picture like in my phone that I photoshopped, with my body on my head on someone else's body, me doing the 5 fingers of death, that I would look at. And like, I believe in that stuff, like manifestation and law of attraction. And I would just look at that. And I was like, man, that's like a dream. So he's like, I'll tell you what, when the world opens back up, you can come down here and do the 5 fingers of death. And we still talk to this day. I kept in touch with him, and he's still gonna be a man of his word. He says I can do it. So I'm just waiting for that day, man.
Man, we're all gonna be watching.
Yeah.
It's so amazing to watch it. And if for anybody who's listening, Sway in the Morning it's worth checking out. He's an amazing host. He's an amazing
Yes.
guy. He's so spirited, and he's got so many different guests. He understands the art of hip hop so well. It's such an amazing thing, and just to see you get involved, there was so much about it that I thought was interesting. One is that you were getting your due as a great lyricist, a great rapper, which I thought was awesome. I loved how Mercules, brought attention to you as a guy in Canada
Yeah.
that among the rap community especially is really well respected. You've always held that place. You're a rapper's rapper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you're a guy who people, and I love that. And I felt like it was so cool for you to get that due. The other thing was that when you talked about this law of attraction manifestation folder, I was like, now I'm on that tip. Like we got to talk about that. Like how long have you been doing that? Where'd you come up with that concept? Is it something that when did you start to kind of really believe in that kind of thing?
Man, you know what's crazy? I back in the day, like I would say 7 years ago, 8 years ago, Knox. I don't know if you remember Knox, a producer from here.
Yeah, Chris.
He used Chris Knox. He used to work with like Corey and all that.
Yeah.
So he was early on it. And this is my first introduction. Like, he's saying all this stuff, and I'm looking at him like he has 3 heads. And this is how at first I feel about it. I'm like, he's crazy. Like, this is some wacko shit. Like, this. So whatever, I was introduced. I didn't really believe it. I was
And
like,
he's
okay,
just saying, like, if you really see it, it will
yeah,
become a reality.
yeah. So he's telling us, and so I think it took me like a little bit, maybe a couple of years to finally start. I would see some things on my own, and then he would give me some audio to listen to, and then I'd start reading my own books, and then I finally started coming around on it. And that's when I was like, okay. So probably like within the last 5 years. But the hardest thing with it to do is to stick with it. It's kind of like the gym, I find, because I don't know, like if something's going wrong or something's going bad, and you get into a spiral, it's easy to be like, you know what, forget this. This is all bullshit. And but if I start my morning and read just a piece of any book that's on that tip, that it just gets my day going, and then I'll be on that. If I write in my little journal, like, this is what I'm grateful for, and this is what I already have, you have to feel like you already have it to attract it. So that's what I try to do. I try to pretend like I've already done it and I'm already there. I'm reading one right now. It's specifically on money. It's called The Secret, but it's The Secret of Money. I don't know if you saw the documentary, The Secret. It's on Netflix. I would recommend it to anyone trying to get into the law of attraction. It basically explains it and shows you, but this one is specifically on money, and it comes with an app. So like each day I'll get a check, and then I'll fake spend it on something, and you know what I mean? And then I'll write down what I'm grateful for, and any money that comes into my life by chance, I'll write that in my manifested folder in the app. And it's basically just like getting you used to the feeling like you already have it. And that's how you're going to attract it.
Because you start by knowing that you're adequate, that you got everything it takes.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it's the faith thing, right? I mean, I think this is where people have gotten to religion in a lot of ways, is people who are religious have that faith, right? Like they've got their faith that they were built with a purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose.
It's
with
crazy.
meaning. And so when you lose that, you kind of I grew up pretty secular, you know what I mean? And so I'm
Mhm.
finding it really interesting to get into these concepts of self improvement and belief and all these kind of things, because I think it's as a secular person, if you don't necessarily have ways into those conversations. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
does it mean to believe in myself? What does it mean to think that I already have all these things, or to have faith that I can do this, or
yeah,
fundamental,
yeah. No, for sure. And now the thing, I'm trying to go a step further because there's this guy. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. His name is Charlie Rocket. He used to manage 2 Chainz. His name is just Charlie on Instagram. So now what he does is he goes around America and he has a big bus called the Dream Machine, and he just makes people's dreams come true. So he'll pull up at Starbucks and ask the girl on the thing, "What's your dream?" And he'll count up the money. Okay, this could probably make it happen. And he just goes and like, so what
gives.
this guy was like 2 Chainz' manager. He brought him up and made that resurgence happen. And this guy was like a huge overweight guy, like 300 pounds, and he had a brain tumor. And he started getting into this stuff. And he goes, "I'm gonna be a Nike athlete." And he wrote it in his book every day. "I'm gonna be a Nike athlete. I'm gonna be in a commercial with LeBron James and Serena Williams." Crazy stuff like this. So he ended up losing all the weight, reversing the brain tumor, biking across America, and he made his own Nike commercial. So he shot it and put the Nike check at the end, and he sent it into them. And everyone in the Nike thing is going crazy. Like the whole compound is just talking about him, talking about him. Anyways, long story short, he ended up becoming a Nike athlete, and you can see his commercial, and it has a clip of LeBron James and Serena Williams in it as well. Like,
I
and
just
so,
love that stuff. I love that
so
stuff. I
it's,
mean,
it,
I do find it interesting because almost everybody that has landed in a place that I think is interesting, whatever it
mhm,
might be, has this concept is real to them. This idea of visualization in some
mhm,
form, to be able to see yourself in the position, first to know what it is.
mhm.
That's really hard.
You have
That
to
I
be
think is what Katie Lang was asking
you
me
have
to
to be
identify.
specific. You have to be specific because how are you supposed to visualize it if you don't even know what it is you want? And it,
That's the hardest thing. I think, oh, I was saying, oh, I want this, but then really I was like, well, yeah, but I also really want to be around my family, and I want to be around my mom and maybe live in Fredericton. Like all of these different things. But at the back of my mind, I was like, but if I'm not James Taylor or if I'm not Paul Simon, then it's not happening. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
had this, and I think that part of it was that's what that conversation taught me was like, okay, wait, first identify truly what you are looking for, not what everybody
100%.
else is looking for. And then start writing it down.
Hmm.
Visualize what that looks like.
Yeah.
I believe in it. I really
And
do.
what I'm learning now is he because I got like a code and to get into his secret website, this Charlie guy. And so he started teaching. He's like, it's literally quantum physics. So I'm not a scientist, so I'm probably gonna explain it super shitty to anyone listening. But it's like he's like, man, it's literally quantum physics. Like they took a piece of someone's DNA, I forget some test, they drove it like whatever, 10 miles down the road, and then they showed this person a scary or traumatic movie, and then this piece of DNA or whatever they took changed that, like however far away it was. So it's like he's like, basically think of it like you're in a pond. If somebody drops a rock in this pond, in this corner of the pond, and somebody's way down there you can't see, the ripples it's going to make is eventually going to connect. And he's like, that's basically all it is. And I probably did a shitty job of explaining it, but he's saying it's literally a scientific explanation behind it. Like you project a certain frequency, that frequency comes back to you.
Yeah,
So
right.
I'm trying to learn more about quantum physics now, but I'm like, I'm on the beginning of that. I didn't know it was like
But I
actually
think
like,
I think it's really interesting, and as you say,
yeah,
it's not easy.
no.
This is the second part of the story that I thought was so awesome. The Sway thing, right? Is that you
Mm-hmm.
then posted a song, which I hadn't heard, the remix, "When to
Mm-hmm.
Say When," the
Yeah,
Drake remix,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and dude, that like that hit me so hard because I go through these moments of telling myself this,
Mm-hmm.
visualizing, writing it down, being specific about my goals. And the flip side of that coin, the more difficult side, is doubt and
Yeah.
being like, am I a delusional idiot? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where doubt, when
Yeah.
doubt takes hold, I'm like, am I delusional? Like, is this a dream that at some point I just need to face the reality that I'm not living up to that dream. Like that I list every single word in that remix, and I was like, I'm there weekly. You know,
Yeah.
I'm talking about this as if I believe and I understand. Yeah, but I am filled with doubt, and every artist I know is filled with doubt. Right up to the top, like right, you know what I mean. Like I don't know if you
Yeah.
know everybody. I'm just saying, but like as I look up to lots of artists, you talk to them, they're filled with doubt too. You know, I think that the fact that you're like vulnerable in that song and kind of make those things, like talking about getting a real job, talking about having dreams when you were 16 and being like, well, I'm not Nas now. Like did I not live up to that? I wanted to be Nas when I was 16. Like I wanted to be at that
Yeah.
level,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And so to reconcile that, it's hard because part of me, I was just having this conversation with my wife. Like part of me, I also don't want to be like delusional. I don't want to be like, oh my God, I'm believing in this at the expense of everything else. All
But
other signs are like telling me that I
but
probably should do something else. You know what I'm saying?
I think if that's what you want, like I think you, because I read this other book, it's by Russ. It's really short, and he's like, you have to be delusional.
Right.
He's like you. He's like you have to be. So you have to believe in it with such a burning desire that everyone around you is like, he's delusional. He's like, that's the level of belief it actually takes to do it. And I'm just like, wow, like that really hit me. I was like, that's crazy. And he's like, yeah.
That's very, that's cool. That's cool. I
Yeah.
mean, it's comforting. And in fact, when I talked to Luke, when I talked to Classified about it, that kind of stuff, that's very much his take on it. You know what I mean? Like that's what kept him going. It wasn't that he was great right away,
Yeah.
is that he liked the work.
Yeah.
He liked the work too much and he was willing to put it in and he was maybe and he was kind of like everything, one thing led to another which led to another, but he just put the work in and he just didn't let the doubt get in too much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. And like right now, I'm in like one of the good moments. So it's like I can sit here and I feel like I'm never gonna doubt myself again. That's how I'm feeling now. Like I'm so good, but every once in a while, one of those moments will come back along and you'll get the when to say when or that type of vibe. But I'm trying to have less and less of those because I don't think there's anything that does to help. Like I just don't think there's anything that's gonna bring you. So you might as well have a positive outlook because I don't see any way that this negative outlook would ever help. You doubt yourself, you're not confident. Like there's no way that's gonna help unless it results in maybe a song like that when to say when, which but I
No,
don't
I
know.
100%. That's exactly what I mean. In fact, I've been going through this like literally this week, you know, cooking along. And then for
Yeah.
some reason, maybe it's because the pandemic is, you know, it's starting to open up and I'm starting to kind of like wonder what it's going to look like afterwards. There's going to be different pressures on, you know, on me to go out and do shows and whatever. It's going to look a little different. And it was just this moment of doubt. And then I kind of heard that song and there was just so much of it that lined up. But then I thought to myself, as you just said, what does it serve? It doesn't do anything because, as you said, it makes you less confident, makes you
Hmm.
less motivated. So
Yeah.
really, like, if you can, it's kind of like the power of positive thinking. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like it's hard to avoid doubt. It's a necessary thing, but where do you go when you have it? You know,
I
how do you
think
get through it?
I think that another book, I didn't finish it, but it helps you with it. It's called The Power of Now. And it basically says that anxiety um, is just a result of you either worrying about the past or the future. So he's like, if you can just be present now and quiet all the thoughts about what if, or the things you might have did in the past. Anxiety is just you worried about the past or the future. If you can focus on what it is you're doing now, like lay that brick perfectly or whatever thing you're working on now, be fully present in that moment without having worries about the past or the future. That's what he tries to teach you to do. And that's basically what I was working on too. When I get in that moment, it's like, all right, there's so much on my list to do. there's so many things I got to do. What if this happens? What if that happens? I'll calm myself down. I'll pick one thing on the list or whatever. And I'll say, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to be present in this thing right now. Forget anything else. When that's done, I'll check that off and then I'll go to the next thing. And you know, I'll take it as it comes. But yeah, I guess that's one thing. But
Well, I think
it's
that's been
hard,
the
man.
thing that's helped me the most. Exactly
Yeah.
that. I've got into meditation in the
Yeah.
last like 2 years, which is exactly that practice.
Yeah.
Exactly the practice of pulling yourself into your breath and into the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, you realize that you're relatively, yet you are complete. You know what I mean? That the
Yeah.
moment can be complete, and that you aren't necessarily being, if you can manage to pull yourself away from the, as you said, the past or the present, or the past and the future and perception and all those kind of things, you realize that,
Yeah.
you know, things are
Do you
okay. This breath feels pretty good.
do you do audio books or anything like that?
Not really, no.
No. Man, I gotta suggest some stuff to you that changed my life, man. Like, and I just personally do the audio, not because I'm lazy. I just find that I retain more information listening to something. And I think it's because of my obsession with all the years of studying music. Like when I read a page of a book, my mind's like somewhere else and I won't even know what I just read. Like I can't focus on it. But when I'm listening to something, like for some reason, my brain retains the information better. But so I've been doing the audiobooks and man, I start in the morning. I'll just do like 15 to 20 minutes and man, it's just I feel like a lot of this stuff has changed my life, man. I got some good ones for you.
Well, so I love it. You know, that's what I mean. Is I heard you say manifestation folder, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun chat. As soon as
Yeah.
I heard that, I was like, this
Yeah.
dude is into a whole other. This guy's more than rap. This guy's on the self improvement. You know, you're trying to do the best. You're trying to be the best version of yourself. That's
I'm
the
trying. Yeah.
conversations I'm interested in having. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I think that especially among artists, we don't necessarily like so much of what we do is about perception, about making sure everybody knows we're all good, we're always confident. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Everything's up. But sometimes it's great to have chats with artists and be like, man, releasing the biggest song of my career was followed by a really tough time or whatever. You know what I mean? Like doubt.
Yeah.
It's There's so many common threads between artists.
Hmm.
There's so
I
many
agree.
common threads between people who create, and we all want to be creative. We all want to have that. We love. That's why we're in it, because
Yeah.
we're obsessed with the moment of creation, because it's so exciting and it's filled with potential. And for a moment in time, we know it's the greatest thing in the world. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. 100%, man. I totally agree. And I think it's good to have these chats as well, because a lot of times when you feel a certain way as an artist, you kind of maybe feel alone. Like I know I do sometimes, where it's like you compare yourself to your friends and it's like, you know, this friend just got married or this friend just bought a house and this friend's having a family. And then I'm comparing my life as an artist to that. And I'm like, damn, am I the only one out here like feeling like this? So it's good when you can talk to an artist and realize that the struggles we go through, you know, is similar. And it's just reassuring that,
It
you
can be a
know,
bit isolating because it's a weird job.
yeah.
It requires a weird amount of faith. It requires a weird amount of like determination, and ultimately, the applause, especially as you get into it for a long time, the highs don't necessarily sustain you, right? Like the highs of like a really big song, they push things along, they move things along, but ultimately, there's still another song to be written,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, and if you're not feeling it, you know, then it's hard to get that off the ground. You can always look back and be like, oh yeah, that was cool when that happened, but ultimately, like the next day, it's like, but I got to get up and do something else.
Man, it's crazy. In the highs, I find that if you just go off the highs, they become shorter and shorter, and you never get as high as the first time. I feel like it's literally like a drug. So it's like I got some really big news like the other day there, like a few weeks ago, and then it was like after that, like I just had a terrible week, and I'm like, damn, like that high only lasted like one day. So it's like if you're chasing the high or the next, I don't think it's sustainable. And I think the only thing that's truly sustainable is like gratitude. So if it's like you just look every day and be like, damn, I could be doing something I hate, or you know, even if something's going wrong, it's like, man, at least I'm not behind a desk right now, or at least you know, if you can always try to find the winning streak in every moment, I think that will help a lot. And I have a song on the new album with Classified where we're talking back and forth, and I think that's what he's trying to teach me on the song, because I'm like, I'm really hard-headed. I'm like, man, what the fuck is not happening yet? Blah blah blah. And he's being like, man, you already won. He's like,
it is
anything from
happening.
here
This
is like,
is it happening.
yeah, it's like, this is it, man. Like, so I think that, yeah, when you try to root your happiness in gratitude, it is more sustainable and lasts longer than the short-term highs, because the highs are always followed by lows. And if it's never going to be, it's just going to be up and down. But if you can root it in gratitude, I think you can live an even keel, good, journey.
It's interesting. It's also, it allows you again to be that much more, if your goals are also to be productive and happy,
Yeah.
and those things, it
Yeah.
actually has positive spin-offs immediately, right? Like, you can't, as you say, sometimes you get a good song from feeling like garbage. But
Yeah.
ultimately, it doesn't really last too long. In fact, it gets you closer and closer to kind of giving up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's a crazy, crazy head game, this whole career we chose.
Yeah, and I don't know. And I kind of try to always be open to the fact that maybe it will change. I mean, like, maybe it will change. Maybe it's, what I mean? As you say, I just constantly kind of try to remind myself, like, okay, there's just a lot of times where I'm like, how long am I going to get away with this? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I thought. When to say when? Like, I was just like, but
Yeah.
then I'm like, I'm not going to say, I'm going to like make it, it's going to have to be obvious to me for me to stop, because I think I love this too much.
Yeah.
I think I've got too much of the delusion, as you said, and I love doing this. I love having this podcast, and part of it was just like, I'm gonna just do it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna chat, and I'm gonna believe in it, and we're gonna do it, and it's gonna take a while, but I'm not gonna quit.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep on doing it.
I think that's where people maybe get discouraged or whatever, that they don't realize it's anything in life is a long process. Anything to be successful, it's like, and I do it myself at the gym. I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna be jacked in like 3 months. I'm going every day. I'm eating nothing but vegetables, and then it's like after like 2 weeks, I see no results, and I'm like, man,
it's
I'm
not
not
worth it.
Yeah,
Let's get some poutine. Let's do this.
Yeah. But I think that's the thing that people have to realize. It's like, man, you and me and whoever else, like, we've been going at this so long, man. And it's like, especially coming from the Maritimes, like, it's so hard to get where we are trying to go. It's crazy. You got to stick with it for years and years and years.
Big time. And I did want to talk about that. I mean, especially in the rap game, right? In the hip hop game, there's a strong community. And how there's tons of amazing. I mean, that's what I've learned just by living there for all those years and working with classified people popping by the studio, just like how many great rappers there are.
Yeah.
But it's an isolated relatively. I mean, look at where it is on the map. You can't
Yeah.
just drive 2 hours and end up in Philadelphia, and then drive an hour and go to New York City, and then go to Boston.
Yeah.
And be, So, have you ever considered the big move? Has that ever been part of your plan?
Yeah, I've always thought about it, and I don't know. It's just, I don't know if it was just out of fear, or not wanting to leave my girl or my family or my friends, and it just it never happened. And I think as I get older, I kind of want to, of course, Classified we can consider as made it from here and did it. He's from Enfield, a little outskirt of the town, but like, I kind of wanted to be someone from my generation that actually does it from here and be like, damn, like, he never moved. Like, we see him walking up the street to the store. Like, I kind of want to be, my fantasy is to like be that hero and like, inspire the kid, be like, damn, we don't have to move. We can do it from here. And I want to be that guy that tries to do the impossible. And I don't know. I feel like there's more pride in it or something. I don't know, but we'll see.
Because it is, so for you, like, in terms of that vision of what success looks like, part of it is that it's from there.
Yeah, I think so. And like, of course, I travel a lot, and before the pandemic, and I love going to different places. But I think if you can do that and check in every once in a while, I think you're good. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my career would be way further if I decided to move to New York or LA like 5 years ago. But you know what? I don't know. I'm happy here. I love all my friends here. I love the city. You know, I love everything here. And I kind of want to put the city on my back and show that it's possible from here. And maybe that kid coming up next won't have to move. And maybe, you know, by the time our city grows in population, which is growing exponentially now, like it's getting crazy, like buildings everywhere, maybe we will have like that city that's almost like a big enough city to sustain ourselves,
I
you
think
know?
so.
But
I mean, I think it's
yeah,
happening. But as you said, it's like so much of it's about inspiring the gen. I think about even in Fredericton, if it wasn't for the guys who I knew, the few professional musicians that I knew in town, I probably wouldn't have believed that it was even a possibility. It wouldn't have been on the mark. You know what I mean? I was planning on doing something else, but
it's
then I
hard to
kind of
do.
saw that it was
It's hard.
possible.
It's hard to do something if you don't see that it's possible. I think even class is like that's part of the reason why I'm like, damn, I can't give up. If he did it, then I know it's possible. So if I can't do it or I quit too early, that's my own problem. That
Yeah.
means that's something with me because if it is possible, then I'm gonna do it. I know I can do it, and that's all it is. That's why I can't stop. But like I said, seeing that I think helps you a lot because I don't know. I saw something online the other day where it was like no one ever ran a mile in under a certain amount of time. I forget what the time was, and no one could do it for years and years and years and years. And then one time, a guy came along and did it, and since then, like mad people just been crushing the record. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like because they okay like someone could do it. Oh, it's actually possible. So I think this brings it back to the law of attraction too. If you're somewhere where you don't have someone to look up to, it's like you have to train your mind to say that you can do it regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
You
mean?
can't
Like,
imagine it. You
yeah,
can't because you've never seen it, so you don't even know
yeah,
how to visualize it. It's happening in
yeah,
athletics. I mean, the running thing is a great example because it happens in athletics all the time. Look at LeBron. How many
yeah,
seasons can you play at the top level?
yeah, 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 yeah.
People wouldn't have thought that was possible. 17, whatever,
No,
17 seasons, like 17
yeah,
All-Star games. Like, what the heck is that? Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
ridiculous, and it
And it's
seems impossible. Like Roger
but
Federer is like my age. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like what?
even Brady,
Brady. Exactly. It happens all the
yeah,
time. Like these, and
yeah,
then all of a sudden you wait. Now the norm will be that people will play. There's always going to be an exception. Now there's going to be these people who play into their 40s.
yeah. I remember like a 3-point shot, like the from deep, you would see would be like one step back from the line. And then you see Steph Curry just start hitting it from like damn near half court. Now that's just like you got to guard people out there because it's like it's normal. People are doing it. Him, Dame Lillard, they're doing it now. And it's like I think
Big
that's all it
guys are
takes.
trying it. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like the big
yeah,
guys in the NBA are shooting from like 40 feet out for the logo. It's ridiculous. But you watch
yeah,
Dame and he can shoot there. Like he's as comfortable shooting there as he is anywhere else.
yeah, yeah. It's
It's
crazy. It becomes the norm when somebody steps outside the box and strives for more. And I think that's how evolution happens too, how we get stronger and stronger and better. It's just from people going that extra mile and
right.
inspiring
Seeing it
someone else.
and then
Yeah,
believing it and then moving
yeah,
towards it. So how do you feel
yeah.
right now? Like, record coming out, how
Man,
engaged do you feel with the craft of hip hop?
man, I feel at my best right now, to be honest. Like I feel like I finally figured myself out as an artist, like more than I ever have after like 15 years. Like now I just feel comfortable with who I am as an artist and everything. Like on this album, I'm singing a lot of my own hooks, like shit I wouldn't have done back in the day. And just, I don't know, man. I just feel great. I feel like it's my best project and I feel I'm in the best place I've ever been in. I can't wait to see what happens from here.
How does it feel to sing? That is
Feel,
that's big. You liking it?
Yeah, I love it, man. I really
Awesome.
love it. I think it's awesome. It adds a whole nother element. And man, I always knew I kind of had it. I toyed around with some of them in the earlier stages of my career. Um, but then I always thought, okay, well, you just got to go run and get someone who can do it better than you. And for a lot of times I feel like these records are calling for like some grimy, growly harmonizing rather than like a smooth, polished vocal. So I just figured it works good, and yeah, I'm really happy with it, man.
It
I'm having
keeps it
fun
in
with it.
the idea of like that your voice.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you
yeah,
are
yeah,
speaking this. You're speaking the whole song. This is about where you're
Yeah, and
at.
a lot of it when it's personal or something like that, you know, it's better if you can do it yourself, because then those, like you said, those words are actually coming from you, so it feels better. I don't know.
I appreciate that you're writing about this stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you're right in your writing. You're writing about this process of finding confidence and where you are in your life. Like
yeah,
those are they're not just themes that you read about. They find their way into into the rhymes.
yeah, man. I think whatever I'm going through is it always finds its way into the album, and I think this is my happiest album, probably. Like I used to take you know, a lot of my feelings of depression and anxiety and stuff like that, and use music as an outlet that way. Um, but this album, you can really tell, like, damn, I'm reading, I'm doing, going to the gym, I'm doing all these things. I'm like, I don't even think there's one sad song on there. Like everything is like positive, and it's crazy. Like when I actually sat back and listened to it and compared it to like another older album, it's like it's really whatever I'm going through at that time finds its way in the music.
And so you're in a good place.
Yeah, it's, from what this album is saying, I guess so. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, man.
I got to tell you, this is real. I knew this was going to be a fun conversation, but I totally
Yeah, man.
appreciate you taking the time and good luck.
No, thank you for
Let's
having me,
stay in
man.
touch because it's fun to be able to just hash this stuff out. You got to send me a book list, bro.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta send you the book list. If you got Netflix, maybe a good starting point. Go watch The Secret
Okay.
tonight. Go watch
Okay.
The Secret. It'll spark you. It'll spark you for sure.
Right on, man. I totally appreciate you doing this and good luck with everything, bro. We'll talk to you real
All
soon.
right, man.
All
Take
right.
care, David. All right,
Peace.
man. Peace.